Hey, RetconRaider here, with special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Dragon Matrix 7, Mathew Smith, Revenant, Alois, Eerie V23, EgonAlter, Emile, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, Kazorm, Nathan Welch Jr., RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, let's get started. And welcome back to Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. As today we set aside our conquering to do some commanding, such as the price we pay for the rank that came with our privilege. It should be fine though. I mean, we've only got 5 events in the queue. I'm fairly certain we can power through those in a single episode. And, you know, I do enjoy doing these. Not too much, but I do like to keep my finger on the pulse of the Fifth Crusade. I should also note that I did go ahead and roll things back just far enough to reposition our bastion. So now it is indeed on the Tower of Yath, instead of Treasonholm. It just made more sense, considering that it's positioned right next to that teleportation hub. And the teleportation hub currently drops in equidistant positions on either side of Ivory Sanctum, so it completely mooted the reason I wanted to set up in Treasonholm in the first place. Anyway, let's see what's going on in Dresden. Lann rubs the reptile side of his face, picking at the scales with his claw. That's it, Commander. I can't do it anymore. I'm not a chief. Alright, Lann, what happened this time? I can't handle it. I thought it'd be my people crying to you, but it turns out it's me. I just don't know how to make the right decisions. Look, Lann, I get it. I mean, you think I was ready to have this big cup of scalding hot responsibility poured in my lap? But, you know, you do what's got to be done, otherwise you're leaving it to someone less capable. Less smart and brilliant and handsome. By which I mean me, by the way, but you're okay too. But look, let's talk this out, and I'm sure it's not as bad as you're making it seem. Alright, first of all, Aran, a girl from the tribe, wants to marry an elf. When did they even have time to get together? It feels like I'm the only one without a love life around here. Anyway, she needs the chief's blessing. They want to be married by the laws of the tribe, but I won't do it. He's an elf. She's a mongrel. Letting them marry means dooming them to eternal misery. It's wrong. But if I don't marry them, I'll be making her miserable now. My second problem. 5 fools are so afraid of demons that they've hidden in the sewage system and refuse to come out. I tried talking to them. Pointless. And I can't just drag them out. I had a plan to lure them out with food, but I think they've found some down there. The rats here are definitely bigger than what we're used to. And the third problem. What should we do with the children and the old people? This is a military campaign. Old people can do some household chores, but kids only get under everyone's feet. I have no idea what to do. You see, I'm not a chief. I'm probably the first person to ever ask this, but demote me, please. Lann, buddy, I've got to say, all these problems sound pretty solvable. The first problem, for example. Love is always a good thing, right? But how do I approve of a marriage between an elf and a mongrel? She'll be dead in 20 years or so, but he'll live for 1,000 years more. I can't in good conscience bless them, but I can't stand in the way of their happiness either. Yeah, this one's pretty easy. They're both consenting adults. It's up to them who they decide to hook up with. Do you really think they'll stay apart just because you refuse to officiate their wedding? Sounds like a plan that should at least be considered. Damn it. I was hoping my problems were unsolvable. Yeah, I'll bet. So the second thing. I think maybe I should just throw a barrel of powder into the sewers and light the fuse. It's the only way to get those cowards out of there. But if I do that, then you'll get another fuse, and I don't know I'll like where you stick that one. Yes, also we do kind of need our sewer system. But hey, look, I'm not seeing any problems here. If they want to stay in the sewers, then let them stay in the sewers. We need someone to help take care of the rats. I'm sure the cats don't mind sharing. And they are legitimately safer down there. Unless demons get in the sewers, but then they'll act as like our early warning system, I guess. That easy, huh? But maybe it could really work. Fine, I'll admit it. I just didn't want to think about all this. My head is spinning. Yeah, like I said, buddy. Trust me, I get it. The third thing. For some reason, I never thought the entire tribe would come up to the surface. I only ever pictured the warriors up here. But what do I do with the rest? I guess we could use the hungry infants to deafen the enemy. They scream so loud you can hear them behind the walls of Dresden. I can't think of what to do with the others. Okay, now see, this is kind of a legitimate long-term problem, but I don't see a need for an immediate solution on this one. They're safe here for now. We have food, we have an army, we have a steadily growing infrastructure, and I don't know if I'd trust Neurosian to take care of them, given the current anti-demon sentiments in Mendev. So we'll let them stay here for now, and we'll figure something else out later. I'll still worry about them, but I guess that's what it means to be chief, right? Nothing to it. Look, Lann, here's a tip from one reluctant leader to another. You can't let yourself be paralyzed by all the things that might happen. I'm here if you need more advice, but you gotta start making your own decisions at some point. Lann sighs. Alright, lesson learned. I'll try to be as good as you. It's not the poor folks' fault they got stuck with the most useless chief in all of Golarion, and maybe the adjacent plains, too. A chief who is extra plain-orally bad, I'd say. That's the spirit. Also, I'd really just say, just plain bad. In fact, that's the name of this segment. It's nice when the titles just kind of come together like that. Thanks, Lann. You're awesome, Lann. A familiar figure clad in black armor appears before you and ceremoniously offers a salute. Greetings, Knight Commander. Yaker and Kel from Paralictor Dorenja's squad, at your service. I'm afraid it's becoming a habit, but once again, I bring dire news. Yaker shrugs apologetically. Yaker casts a nervous sideways glance at his superior officer. Paralictor, while you've been following the Knight Commander, much has happened at our outpost. Enough empty chatter, Knight. Give your report. Although Regel's tone remains as dispassionate as ever, his gaze has grown in intensity. He watches Yaker like a predatory beast, prowling ever closer to its prey. Yaker snaps to attention and repeats a message he's clearly taken pains to memorize. Reporting to whom it may concern, a group of Hell Knights has vanished under suspicious circumstances. They were last seen on the road to the occupied city of Eyes. The Knights were escorting a group of cultists and carrying letters captured in a recent raid on an underground hideout. They disappeared after reporting their approach to our outpost, and the chapters quartered there failed to find any traces of the missing knights. The situation is highly abnormal. Such a large squad could have fallen in battle, but they could hardly have vanished into thin air without so much as a sign of a struggle. Powerful demonic forces might be involved in their disappearance. Thus, we inform Dresden about the incident and plead for help in our investigation. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me about this hideout. Where did you find these cultists exactly? It was a secret hideout consisting of a large warehouse and several workshops, which produced equipment for cultist cells all over Mendev. We'd been tracking the cultists for a while before finally locating and attacking them. Strangely, our intelligence reports had indicated that several powerful demons were always present inside the hideout. But our strike team only found mortals. We captured them and escorted them to our outpost for questioning. Wait, I thought you said they vanished before they reached the outpost. As I understand it, Paralictor Renth, Tai, and Diothan informed you about the outpost during their visit to Dresden. While we finished its construction just a few days ago, it's already our largest staging ground in Eastern Worldwound. We have a small permanent garrison stationed there, and we use it as a resting area for the Hell Knights involved in various expeditions. Oh, so of pivotal importance to your operations, but only given a token guard. Yeah, that tracks. Regil waves Yaker away, then sets his pale yellow eyes on you. We must visit the Hell Knight outpost as soon as we can. I suggest you treat this incident as seriously as possible. It may have unexpected consequences. Subtle, very subtle, Regil. They're obviously up to something. Konomi! Commander, the capital needs you to take decisive action. There has been a major scandal. The nation of Andoran, our diplomatic partner, has sent its army to help the crusade. However, this apparently generous gesture is nothing more than political provocation. The Andorans noticed that the emerging rapprochement between Mendev and Cheliax had been jeopardized. They wish to widen the divide between Nerosian and Igorian, and so they have deliberately sent their army to our territory without our approval. If Mendev accepts this help, it will cool our relations with Isger and their suzerain, Cheliax. The Royal Council that is to say, expects you to reject Andoran aid. Direct them towards Her Majesty's court. They are welcome to negotiate with the capital. Hey, she actually caught herself. Unfortunately, we can't disregard the decision made by Her Majesty and her council. Sociel pauses, then suddenly gives you a sly smile. But those Andorans didn't come here empty-handed. They brought weapons and supplies. Let them share those with us, since Nerosian forbids them from joining our army. Darren regards Lady Konomi with feigned disapproval. Come now, Lady Konomi, all this suspicion. I am sure the Andorans are driven by nothing more than benevolence and concern for our collective future. We simply must accept them like dear friends. We should send the Andorans back home, instead of to Nerosian, and declare as loudly as possible that we disapprove of their underhanded methods. Otherwise, our capital's diplomats will see it as an opportunity to strike a few deals and sweep the whole scandal under the rug. And that's not right. Vile deeds should be exposed, not hidden. If the whole deal is about them being Andorans, then they should just stop being them. Take down the banners, call themselves mercenaries. Problem solved. Huh. That's not a bad idea. But what exactly is the problem here? I mean, we're all in this to fight the demons together, right? So why can't these guys put their differences aside for the greater good or whatever? Isger is a protectorate of Cheliax, and Andoran and Cheliax have a long history of feuds. For the Andorans, the highest values are freedom and equality, and for the Chelaxians, it's order and hierarchy. It's as if the two countries were made to be at odds. Gosh, you don't say. The fact that they are both allied with Mendev doesn't stop them from settling scores at any opportunity. For the time being, Nerosian considers it more advantageous to cooperate with Egorian, the capital of Cheliax. No one is cutting ties with Andoran. No, it's just that relations have cooled somewhat. It's a common occurrence in the politics of major powers. When you ruined the carefully devised deal with Isger, Cheliax's protectorate, and did not call for their help, you sent a message to Andoran. The alliance with Egorian is not as strong as before. Act now! As a result, they have resorted to a provocation. Either Nerosian accepts their forces, thusly aggravating Cheliax even further, or risks a diplomatic row. Just couldn't resist the finger-pointing, could you? I am disappointed, Konomi. You were doing so well. Alright, well, I heard some interesting ideas. Let's talk options. Hopefully the advice you're about to hear won't lead to an undesirable war. I make no promises. So, you had an interesting idea. Please, elaborate. I come from Andoran myself, and as Shaylin as my witness. I wish I could offer another solution, but we have sworn an oath to Her Majesty. If Nerosian doesn't wish to see Andoran troops in Dresden, we have no right to invite them. But no one can forbid us from accepting their help in the form of weapons and supplies. After all, this war is not just some political conflict. This is a battle for the fate of Galarion. Everyone is entitled to do their part. What touching bashfulness. You're proposing we behave like the daughter of a noble family who wants to give herself to a dashing bard, but keep her maiden honor? Not exactly the analogy I would have used, but yeah, kinda. I mean, your option was what? To just outright defy Mendev? Does it become us to reject the aid of our valiant allies, who are on their way here to share the burden of this holy war? I sense the sins of pride, envy, and, yes, a whiff of covetousness, too, coming from the direction of Nerosian. But there can be no place for sin on a crusade. And yet you're still here. Lady Konomi shudders pointedly. Don't forget about the sin of slander, Count. Enough tomfoolery. Your jests will lead to diplomatic disaster. Perhaps, perhaps not. One thing I can say for sure. This was a bold move by Andoran. They are willing to invest much in this cause. Our cause. I see no reason to refuse. I never was fond of Cheliax anyway. I don't like their practices. Or their wine. Thank you, Darren. You have certainly made an interesting pitch. Lann, go. The longer I sit on this council, the harder it is for me to figure out which demons we're supposed to defeat. The ones on the front lines or the ones we're protecting? How can people think about plots and intrigue when the world hangs in the balance? I don't have much faith in the integrity of Nerosian's bureaucrats, which is why I'm suggesting that we treat the Andorans in a way that will make it clear we won't stand for being used. If you want to help, then do it decently, and if you want to scheme, just go home. It will discourage wily opportunists, but win the respect of those who value honesty and decency. The politicians may be at fault here, but what is the soldiers' crime? They are prepared to risk their lives to defend Galarion, and they're certainly not looking to gain anything from this war. Is it just to punish them for the actions of their leaders? With logic like that, we shouldn't be surprised when people start to judge us by the deeds of Nerosian's bureaucracy. Well, Jeff, you had a very intriguing proposal. Care to elaborate? I know a guy or two with connections in merc circles. A bit creepy, but they keep their word. It'll take 5 minutes for them to turn an Andoran army into a mercenary company. They'll dig up some distinguished name of some currently retired group, fix you up with banners and the uniforms, and record the company's arrival in the books of the local mercenary guild. Even the fussiest clerk won't realize they're not well-respected dogs of war, but a a detachment of Andoran regulars. And just like that, under neutral banners, we've accepted our new friends into our army. Clever, eh? Yeah, it's not bad. I do like that. It's crooked, not clever. If a soldier doesn't care under which banners to fight, then they're not a soldier, just your average cutthroat. If the Andorans agree to something like this, my respect for them will plummet. And it's not high as it is. Well, gosh, Lann, when you put it like that, it sounds like they don't have much to lose. Konomi, why should we do your thing? Firstly, because it is the wish of the capital. Lady Konomi falls silent for a few moments, letting the weight of her argument sink in. And secondly, you do not understand that this situation is larger and more complex than what you can see from Dresden. It would be inconvenient for us to quarrel with Cheliax at the moment, and Andoran is pushing us to do exactly that. I mean, that is true. Vex might chafe at the idea that Andoran is trying to manipulate him to use him as a pawn in the power struggle between them and Cheliax. Wouldn't really get much out of antagonizing the Queen, either. I can promise you that Mendev will compensate you for your losses. We are guided not by consideration of our own benefit, but the good of your army and the entire crusade. Nuh-uh, no dice. When they give you something, you take it, especially freebies. Don't bother feeding us that garbage about compensating us later. The authorities do it whenever it's fleecing time, and then what? The people get nothing back. Compensating my tail. Okay, I think I've heard enough. In that case, I hope you will make the correct decision. Again, no promises. Let's look at details. So Soso's thing gets us Andoran equipment, which is 6,000 finance points, and an upgrade for our infantry. Oh, which is just a fairly trivial boost to hit points. That is almost completely meaningless on champions, considering they only have, 20 hit points. Darren's thing gets us Andoran army. That's 28 hedge knights, not much of an army. And excellent horses for all of our cavalry, which is +3 to AC. That is actually substantial. Lann. Lann's thing gets us Rangers. Interesting. That would be good for Pilquell's crew. Pilquell's Pikers. It would also unlock Isgari training for all of our basic archer units, which is a fairly trivial debuff. I mean, generally speaking, if we're shooting at something with our archers, it's going to be dead fairly quickly. So that is largely a non-factor. The Rangers would be nice, though. Waljif's thing gets us Hedge Knights again, that makes sense. But then also picks up Attracted by Fame. Oh, which is +1 AC to all mercenary units, interesting. Not as potent as excellent horses, but it would cover a lot more units. That's not bad. And then Konomi's thing gets us 10 Cuirassars, 30 Champions, 30 Marksmen. Those are all units we use. And would boost morale, which is no big deal. No enduring modifier on any of our units, but it would give us a fairly hefty chunk of immediately usable units. I mean, that's the big hang-up with the Hedge Knights. I like the idea of having them, but we don't have Hedge Knights. They wouldn't fit neatly into our current army structure, so it would just be yet another random side unit with a small number of members. Unless, of course, we upgrade our cavalry into Hedge Knights, which I'm not really planning on doing. I was more leaning towards Cuirassars. Gosh, I hate to say it, but I think Konomi's option is actually the best one for us at this moment. Since it would theoretically, potentially, be enough to bump Agaboya's assassins up to rank 9. All 3 of those are units in our army. I mean, yeah. Like I said, Vex wouldn't appreciate Andoran blatantly using him as a pawn in their power struggle. And Lady Konomi did say the magic words, which is that Vex would be paid to do this. Not to mention, I think Vex would appreciate that she has gotten slightly better at handling him. She only needlessly scolded him once, maybe twice, even stopped herself at one point. Okay, yeah. Lady Konomi, we will do things your way this time. Don't let it go to your head, but I'm sure you will. I expect my compensation in short order. The capital will appreciate your willingness to toe the line. Rest assured, everything you've forfeited will be amply compensated by the Treasury. Okay. Pleasure doing business, I guess. With that, this meeting is adjourned. I doubt there will be need to assemble the Diplomatic Council anytime soon. It will take a while for Nerosian to deal with all the internal fuss and the squabbles with foreigners. That is, to resolve important political matters. For the time being, Dresden will be left to its own devices. And that is even better. See you around, Konomi. Just not anytime soon. Commander, we've managed to defeat Karamzada's host. The remnants of his army have retreated to lick their wounds, and we must use this opportunity to go on the offensive. But right now, our army is not fully prepared to begin such an expansion. The further we advance into enemy territory, the more we'll need strong and mobile cavalry. I propose we replenish our forces with light cavalrymen. Mendev could offer us plenty. There are many lone paladins on Galarion, like me, who travel and help the needy. Shall we call them to our aid? Cavalry is a crucial element of the army, one that's difficult to replace. Mendevian knights often sacrifice their defense in favor of offensive power. And it is time to put an end to this wastefulness. All riders must be encased in heavy cuirassar armor, so as to avoid unnecessary losses. In my long and productive life, I've taken assignments involving knights, nomads, and other targets who enjoy prancing about on horses. And let me tell you, the hardest of those targets were hedge knights. They are true dogs of war who don't have a homeland, but what they do have is experience and a sharp blade. If you need cavalry, I say they're your guys. Interesting, but a bit late. Still, let's talk options. Everyone looks at you expectantly. Sela, you suggested paladins? The gods have blessed them with strength, protected them against darkness and corruption. They spend their whole lives training and performing great deeds. Destroying evil is what they live for, and it's what they do better than anyone. Nice pitch. Regil, what you got for me? There's a certain breed of fighter who thinks that the glory they win on the battlefield justifies any amount of risk. Present. That may be acceptable for them, but it is not acceptable for their commanding officers. Wasting cavalry and daring attacks only saps the strength of your own army. We must see to it that all riders are equipped with the best armor, the kind that will provide the highest chance of survival on the battlefield. I would also advise against recruiting any glory seekers or protectors of high ideals to serve as our cavalry, for the aforementioned reasons. Captain Odan prims his lips and says forcefully, "The riders of Mendev aren't accustomed to fearing for their hides. Your demands, Regil, may lead them to believe you don't trust them, or, even worse, suspect them of cowardice." Feels like pretty weak reasoning from Odan. Greybor, sell me on hedge knights. What's the deal there? I once had a contract to kill a highborn baron. A famed warrior never went anywhere without an escort. So I prepared an ambush for his entourage on a forest road in the dark. The screams of that baron when he and his horse fell into a spiked pit, and above him there was a slaughter going on. I showed myself, split open the head of the nearest guard, and darted into the bushes. They followed, right into my traps. Crossbows, wooden stakes sticking out of the ground, all sorts of things. Arrows flying about, everyone shouting. They made such a racket they scared themselves. They thought they'd been hit by a whole gang of assailants. In any case, the knights who served the Baron because of their oath got the jitters and bolted, even his kin. But the 2 hedge knights he hired fought like wild beasts. Those were worthy opponents indeed. It's simple. They know that if they don't win, they don't get a single coin. Hedge knights are seasoned folk. They've been around. Dangerous too. They fight for victory and gold, not for honor or glory. They don't care if their tactics are cheap. If they can kill the enemy, they will. I doubt the people you've described even have the right to call themselves knights. I'm not keen on fighting side by side with someone who sees the Crusades as a chance to make a fortune. And you see that right there, Sela, is why you're stuck warming the bench instead of tooling around the world wound with me. Odan, you were against the idea of putting armor on our cavalry? Light cavalry may be inferior to knights as far as equipment quality goes, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Firstly, the lightness of the armor gives them maneuverability, and secondly, many noble offspring who have battle skills and a fast horse, but can't afford expensive armor, will gladly answer our call, eager to earn glory with their feats. So long as they don't flee the battlefield first on those very same fast horses. They're lovers of glory and easy victories. Yeah, well, who isn't? All right, I think I've just about made up my mind, but let's go over specifics. Your advisors nod respectfully in response to your words. Okay, so paladins we're already familiar with. They're essentially just tougher, faster clerics. They can heal with lay on hands, they can smite evil. They're not bad, but I don't really see them fitting Vex's style, given his general disdain for fanatics and zealots. Then we've got Cuirassiers, which I do still see as our best option, I think. They're essentially mounted shieldmen, making up for the shieldman's main detractor, which is that extremely limited mobility. And they also do a bit more damage. Not a huge amount, but it is better. Now, Hedge Knights are a bit of a conundrum. I really wish this event had come after the other one, because then we could have theoretically stacked Hedge Knights on Hedge Knights. These do feel like they fit Vex's style slightly better than the Cuirassiers, but again, at this point, we would be just inundating ourselves with too many different troop types. Oh, wow. Cuirassiers have over twice as many hit points. And then we've got light cavalry, who I'm just not a general fan of at all. They have lower defense, lower damage output. The only real advantage they have is a higher movement and initiative, which, given my generally defensive playstyle in the Crusade battles, is not at all appealing. So yeah, it really does just come down to Cuirassiers or Hedge Knights, and we've already set ourselves up for Cuirassiers. So I guess we're going to have to give this one to Regil. Alright, Reg, do your thing. We'll go with the Cuirassiers. They will become excellent tools for crafting our victory. With that, this meeting of the Military Council is adjourned. I will brief the officers on the expected reinforcements immediately, and see to it that our available stables are expanded and properly refitted. Hail! Dorgelinda's one eye is red from sleepless nights on the job. The supply situation is improving, but too slowly. Once the fellows of the Crusade lost their connection in the quartermaster service, they switched to dealing with the cart drivers directly. Each supply caravan loses a cart or two on the way, and its drivers tell us tall tales about how they were attacked by demons, or how a Vrock swooped in and carried off an entire cart. We catch these jokers, but it's getting out of control. We can't get them all. We need to change something in the system itself. I propose that we have inspectors from the Mendevian Treasury travel with each caravan. Someone experienced, someone who's ready to answer for the delivery with their life, and who knows how to keep the cream away from the cat, so to speak. You monster. There's a simple rule. If you can't beat 'em, lead 'em. We'll drop a hint to the brains of this lot to stick to us and fall in line. If they don't act up too much, they'll get their new uniforms and extra rations, and we'll get the loyalty of some big-name leaders among the soldiers. So, soldiers are stealing from their own comrades? Like cats, what was it you said, Dorgelinda? Like the cream that got the mouse instead of the cat? In any case, this is wrong. We must convince them. Let the caravans be accompanied by priests from the capital. Under their eyes, the warriors will be ashamed to steal. Sure, yeah. We overlooked their antics when it was just clandestine trades, but theft must be dealt with quickly and severely. Yeah, probably not that one either, but I do appreciate your passion. Thank you for being here, Lann, Aru. We are hearing some interesting options, though. Let's talk details. Gladly. So, Waldif, you're suggesting we somehow get these guys to come work for us? Yeah, pretty much. Get the sharpest and most ambitious on the take. The rest of the big shots will take the hint. We don't mind smart subordinates who can find a way to get what they want, as long as they don't cross us. And that's it. No more thefts. Why bother when we'll give it to them anyway? And the saps and the slouches will just have to settle for what they have. That's the saps' way. So you're saying we should make the thieves the commander's trusted officers? Then I suggest we just dub this gang the Crusraiders. We could make an announcement that we're conducting the first Crusraid in history. Gosh darn it, Lann, you pretty much just guaranteed we're picking this option. That probably wasn't your intention, but it is what is now happening. We will listen to the rest of the options, though, because I do love talking with the companions like this. Aru? I know it can sometimes be very difficult to do the right thing, the noble thing, especially when no one is there to witness your worst deeds and judge you for them, which is why we need to have priests accompanying our caravans from the capital. Who would have the heart to commit a crime when a servant of the gods is watching them? I'm sure there are no such scoundrels among our warriors. Uh-huh. Wow, that's some solid advice right there. We should totally try stopping thieves and robbers by appealing to something they don't have. A conscience. Hey, you never know, Waldif. Maybe they'll steal one. Lann, go. You know, I'm tired of hearing that we can't do anything about these fellows. I suppose we can't really root out petty fraud, but we're talking about blatant, large-scale theft here. About acts of sabotage against the Crusade. It's no wonder Mendev is cutting our supplies. They see that we can't even keep our own soldiers in line. Enough is enough. We'll find the most prolific thieves, and they'll hang. Once this is resolved, Neurosian will stop worrying that the coin they spend on us will end up in the pockets of marauders and thieves. But it's not those poor people's fault that they became criminals. The Mendevian army recruited them, but it can't provide everything they need. And now we're going to hang them for it? How is that right? Gotta side with Aru here. I mean, not her solution, but her reasoning. Dorgelinda. There's no question that the cart drivers are in cahoots with the fellows. I imagine they get a cut of the stolen goods. So let's assign a gutsy treasury worker to each caravan. Someone to keep an eye on them and see that everything is delivered in full. And they could do some good here in Dresden, too. We always need more people who know how to mount an expedition and organize troops on the march. They'll whip our logistics into shape. Not bad, but I feel like we'd have dead treasury workers before too long. So which option are you going for? I don't know. Let's have a look at the actual effects. Oh, wow. Waldjif's thing gets plus 33% to XP growth on generals. Yeah, that is immediately my favorite. Favoritism is my favorite. Ruchelet's thing grants us extra energy income. Nice, but not a big deal. Lann's thing boosts material income, but by a fairly trivial amount. That's like 2 supply centers. Yeah, that's not really worth it. And Dorgelinda's thing gives us caravan masters. Plus 15 movement points on all generals. Wow. That is actually pretty solid as well, especially as the map gets larger and larger in each subsequent act. Though, I mean, the big limiting factor is, of course, our recovery time between battles. We've had several cases where we've had to deliberately slow walk our military maneuvering because our spell points needed to recover. So having an excessive amount of movement would help us get places faster, but that might not really make much of a difference if we end up having to sit around waiting to recover from the previous spate of battles anyway. And I mean, honestly, we're not going to have any shortage of time to get everything done in the long run. You know, it is close, but I cannot resist the allure of that full 33% boost to XP gain. I feel like having overall more powerful generals just outweighs having faster generals. So yeah, Waldjif, do your thing. And hopefully you can get this whole thing sorted. Slick. A little favoritism won't spoil the spirit of the crusade, will it? They're good guys, it's just their methods are a bit unusual. But hey, this whole war is unusual. It will be done. I hope our caravans will be safe from now on, but I have a feeling this won't be the last time we have to convene the council to address a problem relating to the fellows. And we're done. 5 events, 3 Crusraider upgrades, and we picked up a new side quest to boot. I believe that's Regel's companion quest. Yeah, here we go. Watch your step. Investigate the Hell Knight outpost. And once again, I'll note that that story Yaker gave us had like 6 or 7 glaring contradictions in it. Not to mention, of course, Regel's suddenly very peculiar behavior. He is, again, not exactly the most subtle of dudes, though we have been cranking points into his persuasion. Apparently he's just focused more on the intimidation part, and less so on the, deception. That said, we're obviously not going to leave them hanging. If there is really a problem, then we'll certainly go over there and help them handle it. But at the same time, I can't help but wonder if this is them trying to lure us out there, away from the relative safety of Dresden and our massive army. Goodness knows, if I were looking to eliminate a troublesome commander, that would certainly be the way I'd go about doing it. Side note, we've only maxed out our diplomacy. I thought we had more maxed, but apparently we still have one more promotion event for each of these 3 other stats. At least for Act 3. I believe the maximum rank doubles once we hit Act 5. Anyway, we are past time, so I feel like we have to call it here. I know, not much of an action-packed episode today, but we did get a fair amount done. We unlocked some decent bonuses, and this does put us in the perfect position to jump right back out into the field next time round. We'll hit the pause button for now. I'll take care of the bookkeeping off screen, and we'll pick up here next time as we investigate the plight of the Hell Knight outpost. You know, the super important place that they left under a token guard and then took a bunch of dangerous cultists to. I'm sure they're fine. But I will see you then. Kaiser, I'm right here. Oh, and remember, although I do love playing Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, you can find out more about the game by visiting the official website. And if you'd like to help support the channel, feel free to push the buttons that do the things, or maybe even check out the Patreon, the YouTube memberships, or the new Nexus GG page. Links are in the description.